JT Crowley is Talking Books. On the show, you'll hear from emerging talent and seasoned veterans from around the world.
Hello, I'm JT Crowley, the host of Talking Book Show on Web Talk Radio, and today I have the author Monique Worgess from London in the United Kingdom. She's coming on the show to talk about her book, It's Okay to Feel Like This: Suppressed Thoughts of an Introvert. It's not a big book, and the main story is told over 5 chapters, but the preface and the introduction are just as interesting, so I will be taking a sneak preview into these parts of the book as well. Anyway, I'm not the person to talk about the book because I've only just reviewed it. The person who we really need to get on the show is the author herself, Monique from London, United Kingdom, so she can talk about a book and why. So I'm going to invite her on the show. Monique from London in the United Kingdom, come and join me.
Well, hi, John. How are you?
I'm very good. It's nice for once that I'm interviewing somebody in the same country. We're on the same time zone. Yay! Now, Monique, before we review your book, would you care to tell the audience a little about yourself and what's the backstory to this book?
Thank you, John, definitely. So my name is Monique Worgess, Jamaican born. I currently live in London. I wrote the book because it came at a pivotal moment in my life, and I finally decided to take a career break, which is something that would probably be a shock to a lot of people. But I finally had the time to write a book that I've always wanted to write. And I feel like I could support. I feel like I can help people through the stories that's done to, happen in my life. That I'd like to be able to help others to um, that I'd like to be able to help others to be able to utilize their stories as well to be the strength in their stories, as opposed to using it to shy away and to potentially live a dim their light in a way.
Yeah, I think that's a fair enough assessment, having looked at the book myself. But let you, the audience, make that decision once you've had a little sneak preview to the interview. So, um, let's have a look at this amazing book of yours and let's see what's in the preface because this is very interesting, everybody. Monique, here I find you mentioning the dark figure. You and also about procrastinations, your lack of trust and ability to connect with others. And you even branded yourself the antisocial queen. I thought, okay, so care to share with us the contents of the preface to this book of yours?
I wanted to give an insight into the book to just to give a flavor of what the book would be about, and just to kind of bring intrigue into, I guess, what now seems like stories that I've grown up with, but at the time going through them was quite the horror experience, and I wanted to. I wanted to break it down in a way that it made sense, or that people are able to get different things from it, and able to, I guess, see themselves through the different chapters and the different stories that come through in the book. And um,
It's quite interesting, isn't it? When you talk about in the preface, you talk about procrastination and you talk about you saw yourself as the antisocial queen. Why the antisocial queen?
Honestly, I've spent years branding myself as that. I no longer do that at this point in time. I guess when I grow up and you don't know certain things yet, or you haven't lived as much life yet, I think you feel certainly you hold. I guess you find something that you feel comfortable with and you kind of hold on to them, not knowing, I guess, the bigger impact or what the outward message is, especially when you meet new people and things like that. So I think I feel like I've always been more on the loner side, and I guess you don't necessarily um, know the impact of that because I guess the majority of people, not most, but the majority of people in general you come across are extroverted. So um, if you're a little bit different, you kind of start to question why, and then you might find things that seem relatable and then hold on to those, which then and then that feels comfortable, but that may not necessarily be the right thing. And that's why, so when I had my career break, being able to explore all of that feelings and things that I was going through, and no longer hiding from anything, because for the first time in my life, I was free enough to just be. Because you're in, as they call it, the rat race. You go to school, then you go to university, you go through what you should be doing. So you just keep going, you get a job, and everything just keeps going. But then you really get the time to kind of slow down until I was in a position where I was, in a sense, forced to slow down, which made me wanted to really reassess about things that I had done or things that I was feeling. Because I wanted to feel better. I didn't feel as great about myself at the time.
No, and when you look at the book, everybody, Monique does refer to the dark figure several times. Now, this we are talking about the dark figure. This is not, we're not going to say what, who, or anything like that. But this was part of the controlling, the coerciveness that probably led to some of Monique's low esteem. But you will see the dark figure prominent throughout the book. You can make your own opinions about that. Now, Monique, I want to move on to the introduction because, like the preface, you have some powerful conversational thoughts in the introduction. You start off by saying, have you ever felt afraid to express your deepest inner musings and feelings in a live moment? You mention the fear of feeling judged, being the odd one out, and choosing not to express yourself, you say is okay. Plus, you give a hint at what the 5 following chapters are about. So the introduction, everybody, is Monique is introduced in the book, but then at the latter end of the introduction, she gives you a hint as to what is coming down the line in each single chapter. So when I'm going to ask the questions, I will be referring back to the introduction because that's how the book is set out, everybody. So, Monique, would you care to tell the audience how significant this introduction is both to you and the story in the book?
No, definitely. So I wrote the introduction. Then I wanted to just to give the flavor and the headlines of what the book would be about, what the different chapters would carry, and just to try and I guess to attempt to draw the audience in straight away, so that they're able to relate, able to, I guess, see themselves in it. So I guess it was very important to me writing this book that it was relatable, but at the same time not needing to write the book to be relatable, but just to have my story and know that potentially there are other people that could feel the same way, and then knowing that there's other people that just like them out there. So that's something I've always kind of struggled with. I have always kind of felt different. And when I mentioned in the book about feeling I'm not able to express myself. So I could be in a room with about 20 people and let's say a topic has been discussed, but then the majority of the room is agreeing. And I've always kind of thought, I don't necessarily feel the same way. But then kind of feel disruptive. So I don't want to say that, but I'm thinking, why? If everyone's saying the same thing, then that must be the correct way of thinking. And that kind of happened to me quite often. And I guess because I didn't have the confidence as well. Because as you mentioned in the book, so the dark figure is mentioned throughout. And I guess a lot of what the dark figure did or how that they behave that altered how I saw myself. And I guess it made me dim my light in ways. And I guess just wasn't confident enough to be able to just stand on my own, what I believe in, and things like that. But I'm always thinking I need to potentially be similar to everyone else, but still knowing that I actually don't. So I wanted to try and express that as best that I could in the form that I did.
I think you expressed it very well, and and the introduction, as I said, is very powerful. Everybody, it's almost to the front of the book, and you'll immediately it's giving you a sense of what you can expect, so you can see what the chapters are about. So if you're interested, you'll then go, I'll delve into those chapters, because she's whetting your appetite here. Now, Monique, let's go to the chapters. Chapter one, which you title Introvert, which you say in your introduction, talks about no longer being apologetic for being an introvert. It's a short chapter, and you talk about the dark figure, all those years keeping you from being your true self, not being able to think freely, a constant, repetitive state of control. And I was fascinated to see that you have incorporated the TED Talk by Susan Cain. And you start quote there by saying, shyness is fear of social judgment, and introversion is how you respond to social stimulation. So would so you've got some very interesting considerations going on here. So would you like to tell the audience what's the contents of this chapter and how important are they?
Well, thank you. So whilst I was having my career break, I started to, again, as I mentioned before, being as free to finally do things when I wanted to do them, and just having the freedom to just delve into things that I'm interested in. So whilst I was writing the book, just trying to do some research, because like I said, I wasn't too familiar with the word introvert, to be honest, and I've always been shy, so I've always kind of probably thought that I was just a shy person. But then just knowing this, seeing that TED talk by Susan Cain, and then when she clarified the difference, that made so much sense to me. Because being it's just two different things. It's almost like being an introvert, that's a way of being, but it's not necessarily it's not a brand it's not a bad brand, a bad way to brand yourself in a way. And it's not even really about the branding, it's just as she mentioned, just how you respond to things differently. And that's what I've always found myself responding to things differently. So that made so much sense to me. And of course, being shy, that kind of comes and goes. It's not a permanent thing. So that really resonated with me. And as a result of that, so then I went on to read her book, which is called Quiet. And that made so much sense to me, because there's so much power in being an introvert, but it's about having the confidence to be able to carry that and to not hide behind it, or in a room full of mainly extroverts to then be shying away in a corner somewhere. But it's just to know the power that I have and then to be able to confidently explore that, and just knowing that what I have is also valuable, as well as what an extrovert would bring as well. So that's why I really, really liked when I came across that. And I think I just happened to come across it, I guess, because it was just the perfect time for me to come across it, I guess. Just at that time when I kind of was searching, needing to kind of, I guess, validate what I was feeling at the time. But then I just found power in that quote.
I've always, thought in life that even powerful people or people who are, deemed to be seen as extrovert are very often introverts. And when you see people in public life, you see these rock stars, you see all these people, actors and singers. Yes, they perform on stage because they can be somebody different, that they are somebody different to what they are in reality. Because in reality, an awful lot of them are insecure and have a lot of issues. But because you see them on the stage, you think, well, they're confident. but they're not, are they?
No.
I thought you would agree with me. And this, I know that was a slight tangent, everybody, but it really is also, it's a little bit of what you can expect in this book of Monique's. Because she does ask you questions. She does go in and say, make you think. So yes, it's a book to read, but it's a book to think about. And it's a book to reflect, because that's what she wants you to do. She wants you to read it. She wants you to think about it, and she wants you to reflect. And if you see anything that you think you can change that make your life better, then she's achieved something, because that is what the book is about. Now, I'd like to go to chapter 2, please, Monique. Am I free? That's a very good question, and it's a very good title. And in your introduction, Monique, you say that it's Am I Free is about where you are now after all the self-reflection, plus explores the thoughts and inner battles that led to your situations. You talk about your job and how that made everything okay. So you buried yourself, you came across as this confidential person with your job. And it was in retail industry. And for those of you, I'm not going to name the company, but it's a big retail high street store, everybody, in the UK. And so people saw you as a competent person because they saw you with a career. But behind the curtains, you were making choices and you were struggling with senior leadership, and you were not aware of the decisions that you were making, how they were affecting those people in your team. So, would you like to talk about, because there's an awful lot that you put into this chapter, about, what was going on in your life at that time? And would you care to open up and just tell us more? Why have you put these stories into this chapter?
I put these stories into this chapter because, again, I want people to be able to see themselves through the various stories, the various things, the various feelings, the various thoughts that I was having at the time, just to be able to relate, get some comfort, if they will. Because we live in a day and age now where people are afraid to be themselves, or they get made to feel a certain way. And I think so, even though I've always been a little bit shy, I guess I've always kind of known deep down how I'd like to be. And I guess I don't like the idea of having to conform just because someone says that's what I need to be doing. Um, and I want to be as authentic as I can be in any situation that I'm in. And that is always very important to me. So I wanted to just put all these different bits in the book, because as in different things will relate to different people in different ways. I just wanted to, I want the different people who read come across the book to get something from it, or to it potentially give them an insight, or for them to could even make a recommendation to someone who could be going through something, because I feel like we live in a world today where it's just things are moving quite fast, and a lot of people just don't seem to have the tools to be able to deal with things that they're going through, or they don't have the right environment around them or the right support systems in place, and it's just so easy to in a say go down the wrong path. But if something I can do can potentially stop someone, or give them a thought, or change a direction, or make an adjustment, anything for the better, then I'm happy with that. Because I think we need to be in a position where you're able to get the support that you need when you have it. And I guess also get the support that you need when you want it, or to be even aware what there is out there, or it could even be something that you didn't know that you needed. But I just wanted to use my experiences to potentially help those who are potentially in a stage right now where they can't help themselves, or they're just looking for something to make a shift in their life.
Of course, the biggest thing nowadays, and I would say this is probably men are starting to talk more about their own mental health, and it's not seen as, oh, you shouldn't talk about it, just be a man and grow up. It's becoming more and more acceptable. So I think for men, this book, is going to be just as powerful because probably people will see this book as just for, a woman's written it, so it's going to be about woman's issues.
Yeah,
No, men can look at this and they can pick things up from that. And it's perfectly all right to cry. It's perfectly all right for men to cry. It's perfectly all right for men to have mental health issues, anxieties, stresses, feeling low. It's perfectly fine.
yeah.
Have a look at Monique's book and see her journey. Now, I would like to go to chapter 3. And it's, did it start here? That's the name. And the summary about this chapter in your introduction, you say, gives a deeper background on some of the events in your own life that shaped your thinking about yourself. We're talking about trauma, about being stuck in survivor mode. I thought that was a very, very interesting comment there, survivor mode, and how your behavior at that time, you now reflect and see it or saw it as probably self-destructive. You know, you are Jamaican heritage. You came to the UK when you were 11 with your family. So talk to me about this chapter. Did it start here? Did it?
Oh, thank you. So this particular chapter, I wanted to, I guess, really go deeper into some of those experiences. And so as you mentioned, so I guess I did grow up in Jamaica, so life was great in Jamaica, and then the dark figure would appear on a yearly basis. And and I guess that in a sense, when I look back now, creates it creates it's almost like a masked view of what that could be like. Because it's not the same as growing up with someone day to day. And so when we came here when I was 11, during that time, so it's 5 years in total, but that was a very hellish time. Just some of the experiences, just the control, the I guess just the need to have the final say. Like even things like even I wasn't even able to cry at times because if you were to cry, then that would cause further issues. And honestly, sometimes it was even to the point of being detrimental as well. And so I know they're probably a bit graphic, some of the things in this particular chapter. And it's not to scare anyone, but it's just all I can express is just my detail of what life was like for me during that time. And if it can help someone, amazing. Because that is the whole point. That is the whole point. But then just to give an insight of and I guess my mindset nowadays is life can always be worse. But then how, and I guess to do my career break as well, also learning that we can go through some horrible experiences in life, but it's not meant to break us. And I think how we use them to get out of those situations or to use that as the strength and to potentially even help others. And that's what I'm more focused on at this point in my life now. So all of those experiences had to happen, I guess, to make me the person I am today. And I'm at the point now where I'm no longer the person that's afraid to speak now or keeping everything to myself because I've learned along my journey as well that my stories can help other people or make me more relatable. So I think I probably experienced that the most when I had my first when I had my own store. And I remember I went into this store and it I guess you could say it had a cultural it was quite a cultural store in terms of how it was ran previously. So some of the employees, there was a massive lack of trust and things like that. And I remember thinking, I know in my head what I'm going to try and do to see how we can turn this environment around. But then obviously that's just my vision at the moment. So how do I then express that onto the employees so that they're aware that this person's coming in, but not to just changing just because, but then to actually make real change to bring the store forward. And I remember one of the employees actually said to me, he came to me and he said, Monique, I know you guys, you come in, you just you're only here for a short period of time, you don't really care. Um and but then ultimately then he kind of expressed how bad things were and things like that. So but then so I listened because I think I can only make improvement based on what I'm being told. I need to listen, get the lay of the land, see what I'm kind of working with. And I think I was there for about a year and a half. And I think that same person came back to me and said, "Oh, Monique, I apologize. Because normally they come in, they make decisions, but not necessarily the best decisions. They have a different agenda." And because my goal was I only wanted the betterment of the store that I was in. And it's just experiences like that. So, but then that's over time I've grown into that confidence and being able to see the power in using my experiences to support others or help them to relate. Because I think that was a big move for me because before, as mentioned, I was previously very reserved. So I wasn't the type that would talk about anything personal, even talk about feelings. I would just kind of keep it all into myself. But that moment when I realized, oh, me expressing a bit more about myself and what experiences I've gone through will actually help others or help them to, I guess, see me as human. So that was a big pivotal moment for me to be able to be like, okay, so based on that, I think I need to probably express more and not in a victim mode, but more, and also not in a survival mode because I guess both have their pros and cons, but it's more about um being able to offer bits of insights to others that they can potentially use to support themselves, support their thought process, and then potentially get out of situations that they're in or help to get out of situations that they're in. But then that wouldn't have happened if I hadn't had that insight from sharing about I guess if I hadn't been met with, I guess, that challenge when I first went into the store, it wouldn't have helped me to explore different ways of how I could affect the type of leadership that I wanted to impose on the store.
Your style of leadership. Um, I'm just intrigued now. I'm going to throw a bit of a wobble in here. When you wrote this book, did it help you?
Honestly, it really did. It really did. Because, again, as I said to you before, I'm the type that's I'm always on the go. So, like even me when I was working, just living at work, being there all the time. So it's almost like you get up, go to work, I'm there longer than I should be. So I come back home, it's right time to sleep again, go back. So you just, it's almost like the whole life is just going by, and I'm not really addressing it because I'm constantly in a position where it's like what, and then I'm just throwing. So basically, I'm ignoring everything that I should be really
Mm.
paying attention to, and I was doing that for years. So no, it really did help because I had to slow down to think. And sometimes when you have to really think and say, okay, how am I going to plan this out? What's going to be in the chapters? And then that helps me to, and you remember things differently as well. So if you have to ask a bit more questions, I'm going to have to go back to my family and ask questions about how they felt about certain things that were happening because it's so easy to just block things out. And I think I was
Oh,
probably very good at doing that before.
because you have to be a very brave person to ask someone to ask them to say what they actually think of you. Because sometimes you're not always going to like the answer.
No,
And I think that's what you have learned when you've been writing this book, because I'm looking at it, I've picked this up. I think you have started to look at yourself and had the courage to do that. And that has come forth through these pages. And I think you should be thanked for that.
no, thank
Now,
you.
I want to go to Monique, the next chapter, and it's all about low esteem. So, low esteem an excuse? Maybe that is a rhetorical question, but it's also the title to this chapter, because that's what you have given to chapter 4. Is low esteem an excuse? And you introduce the chapter in your introduction as you're delving deeper into your own journey or of having low esteem, and how having low esteem is probably one of the most destructive places, both mentally and possibly physically, you realized, but at the time when you were going through it, you didn't. But now you've had time to sit down and reflect upon it. You can see that the destruction that was in your life at that stage. And I think this chapter is very, very poignant. And I think it's important to you just as well as a reader. And, again, you talk about the dark figure because this dark figure had a controlling, coercive grip on you. But you also talk about the one thing that you could in identify individually with, and I found this fascinating, very intriguing, and it's your hair. Because when you went to school, a lot of the girls that you went to school with, they had the same old hairstyle, but you decided you're going to have a different hairstyle every day to stand out.
Yeah.
But even that came to an abrupt end, didn't it, when you were around about 18, I believe? So, would you like to give us the backdrop to this little chapter?
No, I definitely will. No, honestly, that was a massive moment for me. Like I said, I've always been the type to have a different hairstyle every day. Because I actually enjoyed that aspect of things. Not necessarily to get into doing hair, but I just really enjoyed the experience of this. I guess it's like, I guess I can call it a work of art, so to speak. So I really enjoyed that. So I've always had a different hairstyle every day because I just wanted to I guess that was my form of expression, in a way. So yeah, so I guess 2 years down the line, so I had my sister dye my hair. And honestly, to this day, I still don't know what the real reason is. But I had my sister dye my hair, and because it just felt like from that moment is the moment my hair started to go. It was a great color at the time, I think it was golden bronze. But I think a few, I guess, weeks down the line, or so uh, I could feel my hair was getting very thin, and then so in a way, I was able to hide it long enough because it started from the middle. So if my hair is in what you can't really see, but then it started to get so bad to the point where it was traveling towards the front. So it was getting to the point where I could no longer maintain my hair. I had to cut the hair eventually, which was a suggestion that my mum had at the time. So I think I went to a few doctors and dermatologists, but they couldn't quite pinpoint. And when we're in the stage of kind of saying maybe it's this, maybe it's that, they couldn't quite pinpoint exactly what it was. And after a point, honestly, I just kind of stopped going. But then it was such a huge impact for me because one, I didn't want to look like a man, so to speak, because that's what it would. That's that's what I'm because you associate females with long hair and obviously men without. Um, so honestly, I hid in the house for a few years because I just didn't want to be seen that way. I didn't like the way I looked, so to speak. And I think so that made me kind of pull away from everyone that was around me. So I didn't have to explain because I guess, and that was when I was overthinking and thinking too much. So for me, it felt like something silly, like doesn't make too much sense to make a big deal out of this, but at the same time, it was a massive deal. And then that carried on for years. Whereas you fast forward to today, I love the fact that my hair looks like this now. I've gotten used to it.
It looks stunning.
No, thank you. But because even back then at the time as well, it's like short hair wasn't really a thing for women as well. So I think we're in a day and age now where you have your own style, it doesn't really matter. But I think it was just the confidence, and I think the years of the dark figure and the impact that they had, and just to think as a child, what have I done to deserve this treatment? And maybe the worst part of it as well. So someone who should love and care for you, what have I done to be able to deserve this level of treatment? So I think that had a huge impact on me as well, um, which obviously wasn't very good. And but through those experiences now, again, it's just if I can help anyone through their stories or whatever they could be going through, whether they're going something through something worse or something less, but even so, because when you're in it, it's a big deal, and that's it's a
Oh
very
yeah.
very big deal, and through not talking, that doesn't necessarily help. But then I didn't know that at the time, so keeping everything in, just trying to avoid things, which I said living at work and just keep doing that because it's almost like I'm trying to keep my mind occupied so I don't have to think about what's actually happening. Um, so yeah, that was a very, very big deal. But honestly, fast forward to today, really love my hair the way it is, and I wouldn't change it for the world. And to be fair, there's still aspects of it where it can't grow as fully as I would like it to, but I actually really love it this low. So that doesn't bother me too much anymore. Um, it's just about trying to use more like natural products and ingredients now to try and maintain it because it can be there's still an element of it itching really badly at times, but it's nothing compared to what it used to be. So I think, and I guess that's over the years me trying to explore all the different, just trying to read. I think Google was probably my best friend at one point. Just trying to read everything I can read health wise, just to kind of see what I can do to try and help the with the itching and help my hair to grow in a healthier place.
You might be surprised, Monique. I know when you look at me, you see this white hair. But when I was a child, I had blonde curly hair. And everybody used to go, "Oh, hasn't he got nice hair? Oh, hasn't he got this?" And I hated it. Oh, yeah. And do you know what I hated the most is that, you know, all my friends could have different styles, but I couldn't because mine was tight curly hair. I was stuck with that and I hated it. And I mean, you get all these women who come and say, "Oh, and he got nice curly hair. Oh, I wish I could have that hair now, so he can have it." There you go, everyone. I was not always white and with straight hair. I actually had blonde curly hair. There you go. So there's a little hair story for you all. Now, Monique, let's crack on and get to this final chapter, um, and this short book of yours, and you head this up, Emerging and Healing. And your description in your introduction is about you talking about the ways in which your life has changed and how you actively put disciplines into place to ensure that you remain accountable for new areas in your life. And you divide the chapter into four sections: being still, working out, cooking, and reading. Plus, you're really saying to people, it's okay to feel like this. And that's why you have titled the book, It's Okay to Feel Like This. What a clever link I've put in there, everybody, to the title. I thought it was very, very clever. Oh, well. So, Monique, talk to me about this final chapter.
So this final chapter, so I'm in a space where it is okay to feel like this. So I'm no longer hiding feelings, no longer suppressing things. I just want to be able to live my life in a way where it's true to me, not does not offend others, but just to if there's a difference of opinion, then that just being able to articulate that in a way so it's constructive and everyone feels supported, but just to even be able to take time. So I guess because I have routines that I've developed where I'm still doing to this day, whereas this very, I guess, personal time is very important for me, self-care. So I guess that comes with working out, just to be consistent. I think there was also a quote that I came across that so, because now that I have goals that I was trying to set up for my life, let's say from like a 10-year span, what I personally feel today, in a way, let's say for example, exercising. What I personally feel today, I might get up today, I might not want to exercise. What I personally feel today is irrelevant to the bigger goal that I would like to see. So if I want to have a particular body type by in 8 years' time, then just that discipline and the consistency and to be And just to ensure that I'm doing that all the time and that's not letting personal feelings get in the way because you can always get sidetracked. But then, and to also, even if I do get sidetracked, but then just know that tomorrow I can still improve. And that's what's very important to me these days. To just ensure that I'm just living life in a way where I'm each day is a day to improve, is a day to reflect and to ensure that I just have the relevant headspace. So no more hiding, no more just suppressing anything because it's just not healthy that way. And I think that's like when things blow up and people feel like they can't express themselves or what something I used to do. I used to feel like, oh my gosh, a certain amount of time has now passed, so I can't
Yeah.
even express this anymore. But then that's but even this kind of I guess having the maturity to be able to even get over stuff like that. Because there's always time to express. And I guess it's healthy as well because you don't want to have all these things rooted inside, and then that's when you feel like you can't express things or people don't understand you. Because I guess ultimately I'm still in charge of how I'm perceived by others. So I need to ensure that I'm doing all those bits, have those all those bits in place to ensure that my health is where it needs to be from a mental point of view.
Now, talking about you briefly touched on it being what you are being perceived by others. I'm interested. Do your family and your friends like the new Monique?
Yeah, they actually do because I'm learning
Good.
what I deserve. Because I guess honestly, I didn't realize how me it's almost like I'm putting up barriers,
Yeah.
whether it's new or old relationships ahead of even someone getting to know me. And I didn't really understand the impact of that. Like even something as simple as me wasn't able to receive compliments well. So not nonsense, that's actually affecting the person giving the compliment because I think it's something that I'm in my head, but it's affecting that other person potentially that might adjust how they react moving forward. Because every time they give me a compliment, she says something or she does the opposite, or they don't get the desired response that they would like. So that's again having the maturity to understand how my actions impact others. So not necessarily like deliberately, but it's just understanding now the barriers I was putting up that would get the wrong reaction. So no, I definitely feel a lot more free now in terms of how I express myself and just having the confidence to be able to do it, even when it feels tough or uncomfortable.
Now, talking about the book, are you going to write any more books?
Honestly, yes, that was definitely the plan. So I think I wrote the book now back in 2023 now. And I guess the way I'm living life at the moment. So I've definitely sometimes I get these insights. So I definitely have like I have on my phone the notes app that's making notes here and there. So no, definitely I definitely have a plan to write more books in the future. I think there'll be like a series, maybe like a continuation series of where I am on the journey and things like that. But yeah, but I definitely would like to write more books because I like the feeling and honestly, because it's something I've always wanted to do. So I actually wanted to write a book when I was in 2015. That was the first time I actually wanted to write a book. But then I think the career break helped that because I was finally free enough to be able to do it.
So, who do you envisage, reading your book? Who do you want? I mean, do you want just women to read it, or do you want men to read it? And what age range are you really wanting to focus on? And plus, where can they get your books from?
Um, so honest, I know someone they said this is a bit too vague, but honestly, I just want anyone who potentially book can touch to read it. So I guess originally it was targeted towards women probably around their 30, which is what I am. But on it, just the idea, I guess, some of the key themes about being able to express yourself, being able to not suppress things, to be able to be more confident in how you express yourself. And I think both genders could read the book and just take key anecdotes from it to be able to aid them in a way, or maybe adjust, or maybe even point them in the direction of maybe another book. But then just that initial starting point, just to get things from it. So I would like for anyone who would potentially get anything from the book to be able to read it. Because as I said, the way society is today, we're in a place where people feel more isolated than they have ever been. And I think if I can utilize my story and some of that the detail in there to help anyone in any way, then I'm happy with that.
So where can
And
people get the book from?
so you can get the book from my Instagram, which is Monique.a.Worgess, the author. That will be the same. I'm sorry, you can so from there you have the links for Amazon, Barnes and Noble, and Balboa Express. And you can also get it from the actual website, which is itsokaytofeellikethis.com.
It is, everybody. You can get it. Also, with the written introduction that follows this or accompanies this interview. So, yes, you can go to her website. It's fascinating. Go and see who she is. You can click the book there and get it. You can go to her publishers, balboapress.com. Go to bookstore and search, put her name in. So all I say, everybody, is just go and have a look at a book, give her a read. But it's a book really not just for women. It's a book for both denominations, all genders, whatever gender you choose to follow. But it's a book about really transgressing from being a person of low esteem to being a more confident person. That's what the book is about. Monique Worgess from London in the United Kingdom, thank you for coming on the show.
No, thank you very much for having me.
I'm JT Crowley. Thanks for listening wherever you're in the world. Until next time, stay safe.